I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 36 of Tales from Godric's Hollow, the world's foremost leading podcast on Muggle theories, Muggle inventions, Muggle money, and all other things Muggle related. I am one of your co-hosts of the show. I am the Muggle of the show, Josh Brown. With me tonight, as always, joining us from the hills of Ireland himself, the Professor Matt Sonnenberg. Hi, Matt.
I had no idea I was in Ireland.
Yeah, you're on location tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah. How is things?
That would explain the green grass outside.
It's probably been a while since you've seen green grass.
Yeah. I'm last night it was completely white. Today it is now green. It rained all day.
Weird.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about weird weather, Matt. This morning I woke up to snowfall.
Okay.
By mid-morning it was pouring down rain.
Sure.
By early afternoon it was sunshine and bright. And then by late afternoon it was starting to get hot. We experienced all four seasons at once. And
sounds like, yeah.
It was a heck of a day here in the Pacific Northwest, and now it's back to freezing cold, and you know what? I just can't handle it. So I'm going to live vicariously through you as you gallivant around the hills of Ireland tonight, and I'm going to wish I was there with you.
All right, sounds good.
I feel like we're doing the show like a week early.
How do you figure?
Because I feel like next week would be more apt, more
next
appropriate
week would be
to be doing this particular episode. I mean, we could call it right now. We can make the people wait, eagerly anticipate this episode. But then again, the next reading, I don't know how much we're going to be talking about Ireland and the Irish and such.
Exactly.
Maybe there's even more of it. Maybe this is just a precursor. Maybe you had this all planned out the entire time. That'd be weird.
It's kind of like we started this podcast on Harry Potter's birthday, so.
Did we really?
The first episode was either recorded the night of, or it might have been the day after, possibly.
That's really weird.
No, I think it was pretty darn close.
Strange. Things just kind of fall into place on this podcast, Matt. For those that may be new to the show, this is a Harry Potter podcast. We are talking all about Harry Potter, specifically the readings of the Harry Potter franchise. I am going through the series for the first time ever in my entire life. We are now currently on book 4, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This week's reading is chapter 7 and 8. We're doing this book club style, allowing you to read along with us every week. We pick out a few chapters. Hope you could read or listen or however you consume your Harry Potter. And then we get together once a week. We talk about it, break down all kinds of crazy theories and thoughts and conspiracies that I'm drawing up in my head as I try to figure out how the series is going. Because again, I have no idea. I have no idea where we're going. But it's a journey. And Matt here is the Sherpa taking me along on this journey, one book at a time, one page at a time. So, here we are, episode 36.
It's true. Episode 36, covering chapters 7 and 8.
But before we get to that, Matt.
Yes.
We have to do a giveaway.
We do.
When I say we have to, I mean I'm excited to. Because, yeah, we're contractually obligated to do this, but it's still a lot of fun. I like giving away free stuff, you know?
You do.
And people seem to enjoy getting free stuff. That's just a weird coincidence, so I feel like it's kind of fate that here we are giving away free stuff to people that enjoy getting free stuff. This week's giveaway is going to be for the... What is it? What is it officially called, Matt?
I believe it's like the Hogwarts library collection.
Ah, that's right. Yes, the library collection. The 3 books the spin-off books, one of which I'm not allowed to even know about. Matt has forbidden me from even remembering the name of such book.
It'll be better for you that way.
Yeah, probably. I know one of the books is a Fantastic Beasts, and that's all I really care about. And then the third book has something to do with Quidditch or something. Again, I don't care. It's all about the Fantastic Beasts book. But it's 3 books. It's a new collection that's coming out. As we explained last week, like it kind of came out, and then it didn't. And then like one book got pulled from the collection, and then now it's re-added to the collection, and it's a new collection for you Harry Potter fans out there. And we're going to give one of those collections away, thanks to the generous donations from the lovely people over on Patreon, patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Your help over there allows us to do these cool giveaways. So we definitely appreciate everybody for that. With that being said, this giveaway this week, it was another iTunes review giveaway. All you have to do is go to iTunes, type in Tales from Godric's Hollow. You'll find our podcast. Leave a review before you hit that send button. Take a screenshot. Send it over in an email to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. Matt will collect it. He will use that as your entry into the giveaway. Everybody that has done it in the 36 episodes that we've been around is entered to win every giveaway that we have. So there's that. You don't enter once and your name is in there until it's picked and drawn out. And then Matt throws you away. He kicks you out like the trash of the week. I'm kidding. He goes into a special pile, the winners pile. That's where it goes. One day we'll repopulate the winners pile back into the fold here.
Sure.
But for now, it's we're giving away cool stuff to new people, and that's exciting. So, Matt, let's pick a winner, shall we?
We should do that. Once again, I'm going to ask you for a number between 1 and actually the same number as last week, 29.
Easy, Matt. Easy.
All right.
The winner this week has the luck of the Irish behind them. Lucky number 17, Matt.
17. Gonna make me count again.
Yep. Darn right I am.
All right. We'll get
right
this.
In the middle. Somewhere right in the middle. Hopefully.
All right. This week's winner is Ashley Nemeth.
Hey, congratulations.
Ashley, I will be sending you an email in reply to your entry. So be looking out for that.
That's right. Hopefully you didn't already snag it on Amazon. It's just now coming out.
Well, if you did, you still have time to cancel your order.
That's right.
I believe it doesn't actually come out until next week. So
right. Cancel it now, Ashley.
There you go.
Pull over the side of the road, cancel it as quick as you can. Because the return process for Amazon is not as easy as they make it sound like it is.
Unless, of course, they let you keep the item.
That's happened before.
Ever had that done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's more hassle for them, and they're just like, whatever.
Yep. Because they do have to pay for the return shipping, so it makes more sense. Just keep it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I ever got to keep was a package of like dry erase markers, I think.
They're like, we literally have millions of these in our warehouse, please.
Yep.
So at the end of the show, we're going to start a new giveaway. And I promise you want to stick around for it because it's not going to be another iTunes review giveaway.
It's true. Josh has told me he has some special giveaway planned. I have no idea what's going on. But...
I have plans. I have secrets. Matt has no idea, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be engaging. And it's going to keep Matt busy for the next week. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, wonderful.
So again, stick around for the end of the show. We will talk about the next giveaway and how you can participate in that. So, without further ado, Matt.
Yes.
Let's get in to chapter 7 and 8 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. All
right.
Why I say it like that? It sounds scary to me. I don't know why.
You think the Goblet of Fire is scary?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know anymore, Matt.
Have we asked you? Do you have any thoughts on what the Goblet of Fire is?
I believe.
The Prisoner of Azkaban was pretty simple. Pretty simplistic.
They laid that out pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
In the last Muggle Theories that I put out, Matt, we talked about my thoughts for this upcoming book and what I was expecting. And that's when I talked about what I thought the Goblet of Fire might be.
Okay.
Now, I know it's a goblet, and I know there's fire in it. What does it symbolize, though? That's where it gets tricky. I was talking about how we might have some dragons in this book.
Sure.
And how excited I was for the prospect of having dragons. Because when I think of fire, I think of dragons. And we've already been introduced to dragons, so this isn't a new concept for me. I'm not just making stuff out of thin air. And now I'm starting to feel maybe a little bit more confident about this, because we have the dragon trainer himself in the mix. Like, we've met him in the flesh. I already know at some point there's going to be a dragon on top of a bank, so I'm excited for that. I don't know how far away that is, but I know there's this buzz in the air, Matt, and I feel like it's the flapping of dragon wings.
Okay.
So what does the Goblet of Fire have to do with dragons? I'm not too sure, but I'm making the connection of fire and dragons somehow being a thing together.
That would make a lot of sense.
Also, I will say, I'm equally nervous about my prediction as well.
Okay.
Because this book has had pretty much, it feels like 8 chapters of Quidditch talk.
It has been ramping up to the Quidditch World Cup, yeah.
And I don't feel like we're done with Quidditch. I just don't feel like this is like the last chapter of Quidditch. You know?
Okay.
Like, there's going to be the fallout of this whole thing. Like, this wasn't just to add fluff to the book to make it the longest book in the history of books that you could possibly hold and read at the same time. There's a reason behind it. Like, we know, Voldy's little plan here revolves around, like, all these wizards gathering for the Wizard World Cup, or the Quidditch World Cup. Like, I know there's connections there, but I'm not... There's just been a lot of Quidditch, and I don't know if the Goblet of Fire has something to do with Quidditch now, but that's my one hang-up. It's either Quidditch or dragons.
All right.
Nothing else. That's the only 2 possibilities.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So, Chapter 7, titled Bagman and Crouch. Characters we briefly mentioned last week, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, this week's new characters kind of got out of hand. I don't know if you paid close attention or not.
There were some, I just rolled my eyes at the names. I'm like, nope. There's no reason to remember these.
Sure. So I have a big list for 7 and a big list for 8. We're just going to kind of breeze over them. If you want to talk about any one of them more, we can. But for the most part, we're just going to run it down quickly.
Yeah.
So for Chapter 7, we have Basil. He was at the Portkey Arrivals guy, manager, kind of. Mr. Roberts, the campsite manager, the Muggle on site there.
We're definitely talking about Mr. Roberts.
We will talk about him. Yes. Yeah. We got a mention of Perkins. I was trying to remember. We may have mentioned Perkins before. He works with Mr. Weasley. This time they just borrowed a tent from him. So.
Yeah, the way it was written made it feel like he's at least been mentioned before as being like a friend at the ministry of some sort, but
yeah. We also had Kevin, the little boy playing with the wand, which I think we'll probably end up talking about as well. We met Mrs. Finnegan, Seamus's mother.
Mm-hmm.
Met a wizard named Archie, who was wearing a nightgown, which was not necessarily appropriate.
Well,
and
I mean, showing his skin colors, man.
And then we got a big list of other ministry wizards that we might touch on later, just because I love most of their job titles. But Cuthbert Mockridge, Gilbert Wimple, Arnold Peasgood, 2 guys named Bode and Croker, Rodney Pontner, Agatha Timms, and the mysterious Ali Bashir.
Mm-hmm. I'm having a hard time figuring out if the unusual sounding names has anything, if it's directly because they are wizards, if it's directly because they are from the UK, or if there's a nice combination of the both.
I think there is definitely a combination of both.
Okay.
Depending on which ones you're looking at. I mean, because some of them are named for specific reasons. Some of them,
Sure.
may or may not come up again,
Right,
and may have particular meaning. I have heard from time to time, like, J.K. tried to would occasionally include friends or even sometimes enemies' names in her books as characters, and they may be. I don't know if they're always their exact name or just based on their name. Sure. Or how that works. Like, I don't know what her friends' names are, so I couldn't tell you.
I just feel like maybe she puts a little bit more work into naming the wizards than she does the muggles. Because, I mean, we got Mr. Roberts, really? Like, that's the most creative name she could come up with, Mr. Roberts, Well,
it's better than Mr. Smith.
It's pretty close, Matt. But, I mean, it sticks out, and that's why I'm thinking, like, is it sticking out because he's the muggle, and it's supposed to, like, you're supposed to remember him as the muggle, and then this sea of wizards with all these wacky, unusual names, because Mr. Roberts... I don't know.
I will give you that. Like, it definitely does feel more muggle than some.
Yeah.
But then, like we talked about, like that little boy, we don't get his last name, but his first name's just Kevin.
Yeah, but
that one kind of stands out too.
His last name probably starts with a K, and like the alliteration is strong in that kid.
Sure.
She just didn't lead on with that.
Fair enough.
So. Is that all of them?
That is all for Chapter 7.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a lot.
It is.
Like I said, none of them I'm going to remember.
Yeah, probably not.
But Mr. Roberts, he's going to have a little special place in my heart here.
I believe it.
Okay, so he's the muggle. He's in charge of this giant campsite. Now, I'm picturing this campsite that Mr. Weasley has arrived with children in tow after using the port key. It feels like a wizard Woodstock.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Like, minus like the musical stages everywhere, but like in my mind's eye, I have like this view of like you come up over the hill. And, like, here's, like, Mr. Roberts, like, little trailer, because he's in charge of the campsite, so that, like, that's his HQ, And as you glance over from, like, his little trailer or cabin or whatever he has, and you just, like, look down, like, into this ravine, and there's just tents. Just as far as the eye could see, Matt. It's just tents and people and just everything going on, and I'm just... In my head, like, I keep picturing, like, views that we saw at like, Woodstock and, the sea of humanity, just tents and people just everywhere.
Basically, yeah. Because you figure this is, like, I think it's essentially, like, the night before or the night of the World Cup match.
Right.
And they were saying there's supposed to be 100,000 people, 100,000 wizards expected. And so, by this time, everybody's there, basically.
Yeah.
And you just see massive amounts of people.
Sure.
Like,
it's definitely more family-friendly than Woodstock was.
Sure.
But, like, just the picture of just rows and rows and rows of tents and people, and it just sounds crazy and insane, and boy, would I want to be there.
Yeah, it would definitely be an interesting place to check out.
Yeah. So, good old Mr. Roberts, he's confused. He's like, I've never had 100,000 people staying at my campsite at once before. Like, this is pretty unusual that we had so many pre-bookings for this campsite, because it sounds like people just show up, like traveling.
Yeah, usually you
through.
just roll up and it's like, oh, You want a place to stay tonight? Okay, here you go.
Throw a tent down, call it good, and move about your business the next day. But so he's confused. I don't think he's curious, but he's not to the point where he's trying to figure anything out, because let's be real, he's getting paid, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's one of those, money talks, and it's like, all right, as long as he keeps getting paid for all these people, it's like he's going to retire after this week.
Oh yeah.
But with that in mind, it kind of makes me wonder. I've always wondered, why even bother involving a Muggle in the first place? Like, okay, it is his campsite, but if you're gonna continuously obliviate his memory anyway, why don't you just send him on vacation for a week and say, hey, yeah, we're just going to take over your campsite for a week. Don't worry, so we've got it covered. Modify his memory that way and just get him out of there.
I feel like there's like this little bit of like cockiness to wizards that they're just like, yeah, we could totally get away with this. Yeah, we could do this. Like, we could pull one over on this guy. And then like they realize that like a group of wizards just appeared next to him. They're just like, oh crap. Come on, Tony. Like, now we have to obliviate him again. And like the cycle, and then like the next group is like, oh yeah, we're totally getting by with this. Like, he's not going to know anything. Like, they like the idea of being sneaky and outsmarting a Muggle without using their tricks. And then somebody will just ruin it, and they're just like, okay, start over. So
there's always one guy.
I mean, sure, they could easily just get rid of him and just hang out there. But like, if they need an alibi, they could at least say that like the campsite owner is there and he knows that everybody's here. Like, everything's on the up and up as far as the campsite owner is concerned.
Sure.
Less paperwork for the ministry to deal with that way, and all kinds of stuff, I would imagine. So,
fair enough.
I think it's mostly just like they're enjoying the fact that like this Muggle is just super confused and still trying to take their money, whatever type of money they try handing him. And he's just kind of going with it, even if he is like suspicious of things. He's just like, whatever, I don't, just have fun, clean up after yourselves, and they're just like, we did it. So,
speaking of the money, though, it blows my mind a little bit. As much as Mr. Weasley he's so fascinated with Muggles and everything to do with Muggles. Don't you think at some point he would have like looked into their money a little bit, studied their money a little bit, and know a little bit about it?
No, like he's more concerned with like the trivial things, like matches and chimney, like like weird little stuff, like plugs and batteries. Like, the money doesn't mean anything to him.
It just seems like he should have a little bit of knowledge of it. Like, I understand all the other wizards having no clue because they don't care at all.
Yeah.
But Mr. Weasley, we know his character is so into Muggles. Like, it just feels like he should have some inkling of what's going on, but he is still just as clueless as all the other wizards there. Just
like the shiny stuff. He's just like, what's that over there? Like, he's just more attracted to like just all the little stuff, Sure. Plus, like, I don't know how much interaction he actually has with Muggles.
Oh, not a lot. That's why he cherishes every moment so much. Like when he gets to meet the Dursleys and when he gets to meet Mr. Roberts, and anytime he comes into contact with Muggles, he tries to tries to learn something new, I guess.
Sure. So being so far removed from Muggles, like even if you try to study the money, like that's something that like the exchange of money for goods is kind of lost on him. Whereas like he could like pick up a match or a battery or plugs and figure it out on his own, but without having that Muggle interaction to like explain how their money system works. He could read about it, but he doesn't strike me as somebody whose nose is in textbooks too often. Like he's more of a hands-on type of guy. And, like if you were to get like a pocket full of money from a foreign country, like you could look at it and you could fiddle with it. And maybe if you're super interested, you'd look it up, but you would need to like use that currency in real life situations to really understand how it works, you know?
Okay.
That's
I'll
how I
give you
see
that.
it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now, if he was like Hermione knows everything. Like I mean, even without her Muggle parents, like that would be something that she would totally read about and study and like practice on herself, because that's a Hermione thing to do. But that's not a Weasley thing to do. That's not how Weasleys get down, Matt, you know?
It's true.
They just kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
So, Muggle money, man. It's a confusing thing. I appreciate Harry knew what was going on, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's grown up with it, even though he never really had much of it.
That's what I was more concerned about. Like, sure, there was money in the house, but like, how much was he ever touching it or using it?
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, it's nice that Harry knew what was going on. Fair enough, like he could figure it out. But I mean, worst case scenario, Hermione was there as well.
Right. Someone was going to figure it out.
They would have gotten it figured out. I mean, if all the other if Mr. Roberts could get through with all the other wizards, he could get through with Mr. Weasley too.
Gold coins the size of hubcaps, like
yes,
whatever was going to get by. In worst case, just obliviate them and move about your day.
Yep.
Yeah. So the tents.
Yeah.
Now the tents seem pretty extravagant, pretty lavish. I expect nothing less from wizards, I must say. I was not expecting for them to pull from Doctor Who and make the tents bigger on the inside than they are on the outside. Like that kind of threw me for a loop there, you know?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I couldn't figure out if it was just the way it was written, or if it was actually like a case of like it looked small on the outside, but it was giant on the inside, or if there just wasn't, or if it just seemed kind of, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what she was trying to describe in writing it, but there was a chance that it just wasn't described very well as like how people saw it from the outside, but on the inside is all decorated nicely or whatever. But I read it as small, unassuming tents on the outside, and you get in, and it's like these 3-bedroom lavish condos going on.
Yep. That's basically how I read it too.
Okay.
Because I think Harry even mentions that like they have to either I don't remember if he actually said crawl into it, or at least hunch over and get into them.
Right.
Like that like you would think of with a tent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are getting to the point nowadays that I don't know if you've seen these, that they are creating these gigantic modular tents.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're meant for like 4 families, and they have like the giant room in the middle, and then they all have like tunnels out to 4 separate tents, and like it's just crazy, and like they're big enough that you can stand up the entire time, and so I mean we're getting to the point. I mean, obviously these tents take up that much space then,
right?
But we're getting to the point that they're creating tents that big, and that's basically what I'm picturing happening with these, except from the outside it looks like a tiny little tent, like tiny little two-person tent.
Right.
And you go inside and it's more or less a mansion.
Now, here's a question.
Sure.
I think I'm still kind of sort of unclear about some of the rules in the Wizarding world. Because I know they have a money system to purchase stuff and whatnot. I guess I'm struggling with... Do wizards have to buy everything that they have? Okay, so case in point, like you have this tent, right?
Yep.
You set it up, and it's this monstrous tent. Can you just make things appear to fill up the tent? Or is that stuff that you would have to like buy at some point? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm trying to ask here?
I think so.
I guess like this got me started thinking about the Weasleys' financial situation.
Yeah.
And like I'm started thinking like if they're wizards, like they shouldn't really ever have to struggle with not having money, because like if they're hungry, they just whip up some food like out of nowhere, or So I'm not really sure how this works.
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly how much it's explained in the books, but I know it has been addressed somewhere. And there are some rules, basically, some generic rules, and like one of them, is your standard, like you can't create something out of nothing.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, they have the like transfiguration where they can change things into other things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they can't just make food out of thin air. They can't just pull money out of thin air.
Okay. So there is at least an established rule set for how this works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a reason that there is still a hierarchy, why the Malfoys are on top and the Weasleys are on bottom, type of thing.
Because like they explained one of the tents how it had like water features and like all this incredible stuff inside the tents that was like a palace, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds impressive, but like, I started thinking, well, they're all wizards, like they could all make their tents look like that. Like, why would there be jealousy about what you can make your tent look like if you just
basically,
zapping it,
yeah, basically they are still going to have to buy all that stuff. That because they are wizards, they're going to be able to store it differently.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, these tents, they essentially can store far more than it looks like.
Sure.
It can all compact down into this tiny little tent that you can carry on your back.
Okay. So everything in there at some point was a purchase that they had to make.
Yeah.
In some way, shape,
whether or not it came with the tent or they put it in afterwards, yeah, they had to buy it somehow.
Okay.
I mean, the tents that the Weasleys are using, like we learned, they're not even their tents. They borrowed them.
Right. Okay. That puts my mind at ease a little bit.
Yeah. There definitely are rules about that.
Okay. Good to know. Matt, there was one mention in this book, in this chapter, that got me really excited.
Okay.
I feel like it's probably going to be the only mention in this entire book. And it's been a couple books since we've had this mention. But it's getting me excited, Matt.
I might know where you're going.
It's getting me excited for better things to come of this character.
Okay.
In the first book, we were introduced to the babysitter of Harry Potter.
Yes.
The old cat lady, Mrs. Fig.
Yes.
We haven't heard from her since book 1, Matt.
It's very true.
Book 4, she's back. By name, Mrs. Fig, the old cat lady, Harry Potter's old babysitter.
Yep.
Where is this going to go, Matt? Are we going to have a Mrs. Fig storyline bubble up the next time?
You tell me.
Privet Drive?
You tell me.
I'm so excited for the possibilities, Matt.
I mean, anything's possible. It always has been.
I just refuse to accept that JK at this point is randomly mentioning things just because. She's too tricky. I'm not falling for it any longer, Matt.
All right.
Now, that goes against everything where I just said that all these new characters I'm going to forget because they're not going to mean anything. Forget all of that stuff. Because book 1 and now book 4, we're back to just this little detail that pretty insignificant all the way around. But so why even mention it, you know? Why even put it in there? She didn't need that extra line of text in this book. She has plenty of words in this book.
Yep.
Why these words?
It's what Harry remembers.
Interesting. Anti-Muggle security.
The best stuff out there.
Some people are super concerned about anti-Muggle security. Most of them, not so much at this wizarding tailgate party.
Yeah. And what always gets me is Ludo Bagman.
Yeah.
The one who's supposed to be essentially in charge of this whole get-together seems to be the least concerned of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like, whatever, it's a party now. You know, like, they've come this far with the planning stage. What could possibly go wrong? And if something does, they'll handle it. You know, there's 100,000 wizards there.
But every time I read this now, there are two people I think of.
Okay.
And this is going to be drawn a little bit from some of your other podcasts I know. But
Okay.
John Vignacchi
Okay.
and Arthur Parsons.
Yeah, just kind of carefree, right?
Like extremely enthusiastic about what they're working on.
Big
what
personalities.
they've put together. Yep, big personality. But when it comes down to security or secrecy, they're not really a concern. It's like, yep, we have other people to take care of that.
Exactly.
I'm
There's
just
people working for him that are more concerned with it. But
yep, I'm just gonna talk about this thing I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it, have a lot of fun with it, and there you go.
I mean, if Ludo was like super concerned about anti-Muggle security and all that stuff, like if that was his character, then he'd be Crouch. Like nobody wants to be a Crouch. Percy wants to be a Crouch,
Yeah,
but nobody else wants to be a Crouch. Everybody else wants to be a Bagman, right? They're just like, that
Yes.
guy is a superstar. Like
Yes,
just the way he carries himself and expresses himself. You know, he walks into a room and he owns the room immediately.
well, I mean, they even kind of he's written up that way. Like he used to be a superstar.
Right.
Like he played at Quidditch at a professional level.
Mm-hmm. But even the people that don't even know that, like he just has a presence, an aura about him, where he's just
Sure.
he's kind of carefree. Like I could see him wearing sunglasses. You know, like he's smooth, he's energetic, and he really just wants to be there and have fun and be him. You know, he doesn't want to worry about security. Pfft, get out of here.
Yeah. And that's why I love when Fred and George start interacting with him, and like, and not only to take part in the bet and everything, but they want to show him their fake wands.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's just so amused with them, and not just amused, but like impressed, legitimately
Right.
impressed that they could invent something like this.
Yeah, that they'd pass for real wands, and Percy's just like, oh my god, I hate you guys both so much. But they're just eating it up. They're absolutely eating it up. Let's see. Babies with wands, Matt.
Yep.
Sounds dangerous.
It does. It does.
However, I feel like there's potential for like a spin-off story in there somewhere.
Okay.
Just like the babies of Hogwarts, or like Hogwarts starts at what, age 11, right?
Yep.
I feel like there has to be a wizarding preschool somewhere.
Maybe.
There should be, at least. You know? Think Rugrats, but with magic. The trouble that they would get into, Matt.
I would watch that.
Right? Even if you made it a cartoon, like a little animated series.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Little babies with wizards, or with wands that they stole, hide in their diapers so their parents don't see them, you know?
Yep.
Turning slugs into giant... Oh, why?
Giant slugs.
Why
Yes.
slugs, Matt? Why
Your
does she go
favorite.
back to slugs?
What else are you gonna?
Earthworm?
I mean,
A cricket?
okay, cricket maybe. I was gonna say, I think you're more likely to find a slug above ground than an earthworm,
Yeah,
unless it's recently been raining.
Yeah, you never know. No. Maybe with all the stomping around, like, the earthworms are getting drawn up because of the vibrations. And I mean, 100,000 wizards are bound to make some noise.
It's true.
I just... Slugs. God.
I know. I thought of you immediately.
Just bad memories, Matt. Bad memories that I thought I was past. I thought I had moved on from those, and she just threw it right back in my face. So
Another giant slug. Then I love when the mom steps on it. Then too.
right. Oh.
Great visual.
Yeah, I try to forget all about it. So the kids are walking around, the trio. They're walking around, hanging out with new people and running into old friends, and it sounds like a great time, right?
Yeah.
There's one part about this that I'm just not okay with, though, Matt.
Okay.
Not okay with at all. they just grow up so fast, Matt. Harry's 14 now?
Yep.
Now, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it kind of feels like he's crushing on a girl a little bit. And, hey, it's nature.
I think that's fair to say. Yep.
I can't, stop the forces of nature here. And I'm proud of my little Harry Potter for growing up and, starting to become a man. But I have to draw the line somewhere, Matt.
Yeah.
Ravenclaw is that line. I'm sorry. I cannot accept the fact that Harry Potter is crushing on a Ravenclaw because, for all I know, he's not looking at anybody. He's just making up this crush of his to be cool, to act cool. He's like, yeah, I'm crushing on this girl. They're like, which one? And he's like, this girl from Ravenclaw. And they're like, what are you talking about? There is no Ravenclaw. I don't know if I could trust Ravenclaw, Matt, because I'm not sure Ravenclaw actually exists. So I don't know if I could be okay with Harry Potter falling in love, even if it's a little puppy love, with the Ravenclaw.
Josh?
I don't know if I could trust that, Matt.
Can you trust me?
No. You've lied to me so many times on this show.
I don't lie to you. I let you run away with your
the
theories.
Truth. Every week you deny me of the truth, Matt.
All right. Someday we will prove to you Ravenclaw exists.
And then, so even once that's settled, if that ever gets settled, I need to be okay with Ravenclaw. I need to know that Harry Potter is safe with the Ravenclaw. Like if he was crushing on a Hufflepuff, go for it, Harry. Go for it. No problems with Hufflepuff.
It's got to be better than Slytherin, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's much better than Slytherin, but to what extent? Like, is Ravenclaw like the backdoor entrance into House Slytherin? I don't know. Just dark and mysterious. I don't know. There's something about him, Matt.
I'm just gonna have a hard time getting you over that. So someday.
I just need to know it's okay, Matt. That's all I need to know.
Okay.
The Unspeakables.
Yes.
Department of Mysteries.
Yes. So yeah, you're talking about this part here where Mr. Weasley is introducing. I think it's all the people that are walking by, and he's saying hello, and he's explaining all their jobs.
Right.
And so we have like Cuthbert Mockridge. He's the head of the Goblin Liaison Office. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Sure.
Gilbert Wimple, the Committee on Experimental Charms.
Okay.
Sounds like an interesting job.
Mm-hmm.
Arnold Peasgood is an Obliviator.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard that from the Accidental Magic Reversal Squad. But then, yeah, Bode and Croaker. They're Unspeakables from the Department of Mysteries.
Very mysterious, Matt.
Very mysterious.
I feel like that's going to come back up at some point.
That would probably be a good thing to talk about again.
Yeah. All the other departments, yeah, sure. Whatever. Like, they got to make up some fancy titles, wand permits, per se, or whatever, The Unspeakables, Department of Mysteries. Are those the Death Eaters? I don't know.
I can't tell you. Well, I could tell you, but I'm not going to tell you.
They are something, and I feel like they're going to play some role at some point in handling some business. Or maybe they'll turn bad. Maybe that's a bad division of the Ministry that we don't know about.
That's why they don't speak about them.
Definitely shouldn't speak about them. I'm getting scared just speaking about them right now, Matt. So I'm just noting that. I feel like we'll come back to that at some point. It's just, left it open. Left it open for the imagination. And then, in typical JK style, just bounced right on to something else, as if, that was, don't even look over there. Look at the shiny thing over here on this other side, But my mind's still over here, Matt, where she's telling me not to look. So I'm on to you, JK. As we alluded to before, Fred and George, the twins.
Yes.
They are natural-born entrepreneurs. They are natural-born moneymakers. They are just so enjoyable as characters.
Absolutely.
I'm
glad you enjoy them.
Ludo's taking bets on the Quidditch match, and Mr. Weasley, he goes in pretty soft. You know, he doesn't want to potentially lose a bunch of his family's money. Like, let's be real. He doesn't want to go back home to Mrs. Weasley and explain that they have no more money because he bet it all.
Yeah, that would be bad.
He might as well just not even go home at that point. But the twins, they're just like, okay, our entire life savings, let's do it. And it's not even like on who's going to win or lose. Like, they go into very specific details about their bets.
Exactly, yeah.
And it immediately just red flags all over the place, right?
Yep.
I don't trust the twins, right? Like, even Ludo was like taken back. He's like, it's pretty far out there. Like, I'm gonna give you incredible odds on that one because that's a shot in the dark. You know, to say Ireland is going to win, even though Victor Crumb will still catch the snitch. Like that's a weird way to end a Quidditch match.
That would be very weird.
A very specific way, also. So he's just like, no, not a chance. You guys are crazy, crazy young kids. They were confident, though. They were confident. I just have to wonder, Matt. Like, we already know they were in possession of the Marauders map. Which meant they knew a whole bunch of things that a lot of people at Hogwarts didn't know.
Yep.
I just don't trust that they don't have some sort of inside knowledge about how it was all going to shake out.
Yeah, it's the whole Back to the Future thing almost.
Yeah. Like, did they see this in the tea leaves in Professor Trelawney's class, or I don't know. I don't trust that they just came out with this bet on a whim. This very specific gamble of theirs. Especially with all of their hard-earned money.
So the better question is it really a gamble?
No. Everybody thinks it is, but they didn't act like it was a gamble. You know?
Sure.
They went in thinking this is just an early down payment for the payday we're about to get. But I don't know how they're doing it. You know? Like, we learned last book that there's time travel and all kinds of crazy things going on. What are the twins up to? I don't know. But I know that they have access to some very powerful things if they really wanted to. And they are just sneaky enough to be able to pull off something like this. So.
Sure.
I'm just going to say we'll see where this goes. But I appreciate the twins. I love them. But you got to keep one eye on them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
They can't be trusted, Matt. We got another mention of Bertha. Bertha Jorkins. True.
Yep.
Memory like a leaky cauldron and no sense of direction, that Bertha.
Yep. Favorite missing wizard. Which?
This is the third different reference to a leaky cauldron in this series. And that's kind of weird. You know, we have...
Never would you have thought.
The tavern and inn called the Leaky Cauldron. We have Bertha's memory being compared to a leaky cauldron. And then we have Percy, who's in charge of trying to figure out how to prevent leaky cauldrons.
Yep.
So many leaky cauldrons in this book, Matt.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff. So, Bertha being mentioned again, I feel like she's important. She's a key aspect to this whole thing. Little by little, we're just being reminded that she's missing, and we find out a little bit more about her each time we get a reference. Not even close to putting any puzzle pieces together on that one, but it's interesting that she keeps getting brought up.
Yeah.
So, I came to a decision.
And what would that be about?
I'm a big fan of buddy cop movies. Right?
Okay.
Central Intelligence. Watched that recently. Really good film. I liked it. It's fun. 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. Buddy cop films. They're fun.
Sure.
They're fun. Bagman and Crouch. I want to see as a buddy cop film.
Okay.
I feel like the personalities are so different, but they
Definitely.
play off of each other so well, probably because they've been working together for so long, that if they got into like a serious thing that they were involved with, I think it'd be fun to just like follow around Bagman and Crouch as they try solving something or putting something back together or resolving some sort of conflict.
Yeah, I mean, probably just following them around while setting up the Quidditch World Cup would have been interesting.
Yeah. But I don't think there was enough conflict in that, though. Like, a lot of work was put into it, sure, but you need that conflict to, like, bring out the best in both of them.
Sure.
To really cement that each one relies on the other for important things. And I just these two interacting the whole time fascinated me, and I would love to get more of that. And I'm curious about these characters in the film now. Like, I want to see how this is going to play out. Like, in my head, I have a very specific vision of what they look like.
Sure.
So I'm like, and that kind of cracks me up, like, thinking about those two characters that I see in my head as being, like, buddy cop film.
Yeah.
So that's just where my head went after just dealing with these two the entire chapter.
Yeah, and this is really the first time we get to meet Mr. Crouch in person.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the first time we meet him, Percy is there.
Of course, yeah. Had to.
And so we just see Percy just all of a sudden, get into that suck-up mode.
Mm-hmm.
Even more than he is when Mr. Crouch isn't around. And
Right.
It's just really Percy. And then what makes it even better is that Mr. Crouch can't even be bothered to learn his name.
So
like
good.
this guy that he's been idolizing all summer. It's like, yeah, okay, Weatherby, sure, thanks, whatever. Yeah, I'm like, Percy, yeah, I think you might want to get your head checked.
Right. It reminds me of Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where the boss of Chevy Chase just keeps calling him a different name each time he sees him.
Mm-hmm.
And if Percy was like put off by it, like this instance, it would be like, okay, that's understandable. But I just feel like every time Percy's ever talked to him, he's gotten his name wrong, and Percy just rolls with it anyway.
Yeah.
But now this happened in front of like his brothers, who are just going to be relentless on him going forward, because he can't even bring up Crouch anymore without his brothers pointing out the fact that he has no idea who Percy is.
Absolutely. and that's what makes like the icing on the cake is, okay, we get the interaction with Percy and Crouch, but the fact that Fred and George were there to witness it.
Yep.
Oh, so good. So good.
And you feel like Percy had an inclination that it was going to happen, but he was just like hoping and praying inside, like,
yes,
please just get it right. Just this one time, please just get my name right. Just in front of my brothers, just do it for me this one time.
Yeah.
And no, sorry, Percy,
not so much.
Now the big thing about this chapter, Matt. Now this was all just it build up in anticipation for the Quidditch World Finals, which is about to go down, right?
Yes.
The air is buzzing with Quidditch, and everybody's excited. Everybody's there for one reason. It's the biggest wizarding tailgate in the world, and good things are happening.
Yeah.
But the biggest, most important thing to come out of this chapter was just like a couple sentences long. When Mr. Weasley, and I believe, was it both Bagman and Crouch, or just Crouch? Talking about something big happening at Hogwarts soon. That they couldn't talk about. Was it Bagman?
It would more likely be Bagman because he's so loose with it. I don't
Right.
think Crouch would have brought it up or wanted to talk about it, really.
Maybe it was both, and they were both about to say it, but Crouch shot it down or something. I don't remember who specifically was talking about it, but
Sure.
they let on that there were behind-the-scenes things happening for something big to happen at Hogwarts very soon that the kids were going to be excited for. Now, they didn't go as far as to say what it was.
Yep.
But it's going to be something.
And it kind of makes you wonder, is this the kind of the thing that Percy had kind of been hinting at all summer?
I don't know. I don't know if Percy would be, privy to that information or not. Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, it was... I'm pretty sure it was Bagman bringing it up, and he kind of like looked over at Crouch and it's like, what are you going to say? Don't do it. Don't say too much.
Right.
It's like, okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can wait. But yeah, but he does give away that it's happening at Hogwarts, which I'm pretty sure that's the first mention we've had of that.
Right.
Which makes, it interesting once again. It's like, okay, we are actually going to run into something else.
Right. Well, see, this is why it's such a big deal, Matt. Because in every book, we have to have some sort of conflict.
Yeah.
I feel like. We can't break the cycle now. So what's the conflict going to be? What's going to happen? I don't know. But I feel like whatever the seeds are being planted for right here is hinting at the opening for something big and possibly awful to happen at Hogwarts. It just...
Okay.
Too many things. I don't know. It feels like a bad idea. With Voldy and what's his name, Pettigrew out there planning and plotting for something to go down. We already know that Harry Potter's lined up in his sights. He's going to be at Hogwarts. They're going to have some big thing happening at Hogwarts. Is it going to be Quidditch related? It kind of feels like it because, again, this entire book has been the Quidditch book. And it would make sense that like they would kind of bring it up as like everybody's there gathered for this Quidditch World Cup. Are they going to have like a school Quidditch World Cup, like a juvenile, like a amateur Quidditch World Cup at Hogwarts or something? I don't know. I just know that there's going to be something big happening at Hogwarts that everybody's excited for, that knows about it, which means that something bad is going to happen.
Sure.
It's not going to go smoothly. So.
Fair enough.
Chapter 7 is where the seeds get planted for the major conflict to happen in this book. I'm saying it now.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see how that plays out for you.
Definitely. That's all I really have for Chapter 7.
One last thing in Chapter 7.
Okay.
Only because there are a few people who brought it up. I know some people brought it up last week. Other people have brought it up before. And they've always asked, does Harry Potter buy gifts for his friends? You catch that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
He bought Omnioculars, which are 10 galleons a piece.
Right. I don't know the conversion, but it sounds expensive.
Yeah. When he tells Ron, it's like, well, I'm not buying a Christmas present anymore. Like, you get the idea. It's like, okay, here's your birthday present and your Christmas present. Like,
right.
I don't know if you've ever gotten those before, but
sure.
Like my parents have done that sometimes. Like, okay, here's something big, but this is your birthday present and your Christmas present and your birthday present next year.
Right.
Okay, fine. I'll take it.
Yeah. At the same time, though, I feel like Harry was probably just telling Ron that to make him feel better about accepting him. Like, I don't know if it was like an actual, like, I'm not buying you a Christmas present now. It's more like...
Yeah, I don't think Harry had fully resigned to not buying him a Christmas present. But yes, I agree. It was just to make Ron feel better about it. But that's because they were so expensive.
Right. But Harry didn't look at it as like, well, now I don't have to buy him a Christmas present. It's just like, I want to buy this for my friends because I can, and this is an awesome event, and they brought me along, and these are my best friends. And, Hermione got it. She was like, cool, thank you. This is awesome. Now I'm going to go put my nose in a program and read as much as I possibly can on this vacation.
I'm going to find the closest thing they have to a book here.
But, like, she understood what was going on. Like, it's just Harry being Harry and just doing something nice for his friends. But, like, Ron took it as, understandably so. Like,
he's being squeamish about money again. That's what he does.
Right. And it's probably, I mean, he's seen it his whole life. People throwing money around to kind of show off, to be the alphas, and Harry's not doing that. Harry's just, he's a kid and he has money and he's going to use it for fun things because that's what he does. And Ron's weird about it, but he needs to get over it too. When it comes to Harry, that is. Because Harry's not doing it to one up him or to, try to impress Ron in any way. He's just like, whatever. This is fun. This is going to be great for all three of us, so.
Sure.
So, yes, he does buy his friends presents.
Yep.
We just need to talk about it every time, because then we have to talk about how Ron's uncomfortable with it every time. So.
There you go.
So let's play some Quidditch, Matt.
Yeah, Chapter 8 in the Quidditch World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, we're going to have a big list of characters. I'll run them down quickly.
There's only one important one.
Only one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be interested to see which one you think that is.
Okay.
We'll start off with Winky,
Boom.
the house elf.
Just stop there.
What's that?
Just stop there. That's the important.
Stop there. Okay. Narcissa Malfoy.
Okay.
Draco's mother.
Funny name. I get it.
Mr. Oblonsk. We weren't really sure about the name. He tried it a couple different ways, but this is the Bulgarian Prime Minister.
Right.
Or not Prime Minister, Minister of Magic, sorry. Bulgarian Minister of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
We got Hassan Mustafa, the referee for the game.
Fantastic.
And then we got the introductions of the teams. So is Dimitrov, Ivanov, Zograf, Levski, Volkov, and Krum on the Bulgarian side. Krum we've met before, but I couldn't leave him out of this list.
Sure.
And then for the Irish, we had Connolly, Ryan, Troy, Mullet, Moran, Quigley, and Aidan Lynch.
Mm-hmm. Just to be fair, Val struggled with those names too. She was having a heck of a time with the Bulgarian players.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. The Bulgarian, you get the idea, very what I would think of as like Russian names,
mm-hmm.
and like what 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 7 end in of.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, yeah, we know where you're from.
Yep, a lot of new people.
It's true.
Winky though. Winky is the best. Okay, first of all, before we get to Winky.
Okay.
Wizard infomercials.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I basically just wrote down that the wizards have to go through the same sort of advertising that muggles do. Like that apparently it works. That's how you sell products.
Absolutely, yeah. Marketing works for all species, Matt.
But yes, I would agree that I think watching wizard infomercials would be much more entertaining.
Could you imagine if a muggle stumbled upon the wizard infomercials and what is going on?
Yeah, all of a sudden they started getting Channel Zero. I'm like, what is this?
Oh man, I feel like I've seen some of those at some point. Winky, the house elf.
Yeah, you seem to enjoy the house elves.
I mean,
we've only met 2.
Elves. Yeah,
but
now don't get me wrong. I was not a big fan of Dobby at the beginning.
Sure,
Dobby had to grow on me, right?
Yeah,
but seeing Dobby and then seeing the resolution of Dobby, the freeing of Dobby, it made me. And then the house elf in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, who is a bartender. Yep. The best. Jacob's like, yeah, of course I know what house elves are. My uncle's a house elf. And the house elf is like, wait, stupid muggle. Yeah, I have an appreciation for house elves. So then Winky comes along, and we're getting a female house elf, and I'm like, all right, this is awesome. Like, it expanded the world of house elves even more so.
Sure.
And like right away, I had a bad feeling about who Winky belonged to.
Yeah.
Because we don't know many people. We haven't been introduced to many families that would require the services of a house elf. We only know of one.
Yep.
And that family lost their house elf a couple books back. So it kind of makes sense that they would get a new house elf. So right away I'm thinking, oh god, it's the Malfoys. Like this is trouble. But I'm going to sit back and I'm going to enjoy Winky right now until the Malfoys get here because this is fantastic. She's totally throwing Dobby under the bus.
Yeah, she's not too fond of Dobby right now.
She's like, I'm a good house elf. That Dobby character, whoo, he's trouble. Like he's running around, and Harry's like, yeah, absolutely, he's running around having fun. He deserves to have fun. She's like, nope, it's not what house elves do. I'm a good house elf, not that Dobby character.
House elves have a very different look on life.
Right. Now, I'm sure if she was free, she'd be singing a different tune. But she's trying not to get in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
She doesn't want to get beat.
You kind of wonder, though, because we saw Dobby. He was our only introduction to house elves. And from the beginning, it always kind of felt like he was a rebel.
Yeah.
Because he always had to punish himself because he wanted to do things against his master's will. He wanted to tell Harry Potter things. He just showing up where he did felt like a lot of times he shouldn't be there.
Right.
And so you don't see that in Winky. She wants to do what her master tells her, and that's it.
Part of me thinks though it's just because if she's turned around looking at Harry Potter, at any second the Malfoys could be walking up behind her, and she would get in so much trouble if she's sitting there talking to Harry Potter about things she's not supposed to be talking about, or saying things that go against her role as a house elf, Like, she's conscious of the fact that the Malfoys are there, whereas Dobby, like, he was leaving the Malfoy castle, the mansion, whatever the Malfoys live in. Like, he knew he wasn't going to get caught at that moment if he appears in Harry Potter's room or anywhere else. Like, he knows he's away from the watchful eye of the Malfoys. Whereas Winky's sitting there like, I gotta be on my best behavior because they could be strolling up here any second.
Sure.
And the last thing she wants is to be just embarrassed as a house elf in front of all those people.
Yeah.
Now, she's scared to death because she hates heights. She'd rather be back in the tent.
Yep.
But she got to keep their seats warm, so she has to be a good house elf and do that. But you're right, though. Dobby does have a little bit of a rebellious streak to him. Like, he's a little bit more carefree about that stuff. But he still punished himself. Like, he still felt bad about it and, attacked himself because he was doing bad things. So he wasn't in the clear completely.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But speaking of Dobby, this is one of those realizations that I never think about until J.K. points it out. Ron and Hermione have never met Dobby.
I hadn't even thought about that either until that moment. I was just like, oh yeah, they totally didn't ever meet Dobby.
Like
because it happened
he was
in the
around
hallway.
for the entire second book, but it was always when Harry was by himself.
Mm-hmm. And even at the end in the hallway at Hogwarts, it was just him and Lucius. So,
yep, yeah, like Dumbledore saw him, I think, and the Dursleys saw him. Or no, the Dursleys didn't really see him; they saw his work,
right?
But probably never actually saw Dobby. That's.
I guess I was more taken back by okay, so Hermione, she's very studious. She reads everything. Like, she knows what house elves are. She's aware of them. But she definitely doesn't live in a family that would ever have a house elf because she lives with muggles.
Yep.
The Weasleys definitely would never have a house elf because they're not in that class that would ever require the services of a house elf. But it still felt weird that Ron, who grew up in like 100% wizarding family, had never seen a house elf before. Like, he's never had friends that he's gone over to their houses or.
Well, you see that's the thing. It's really just the upper crust, that 1% that will probably have house elves.
Sure, but like,
and those aren't necessarily his friends.
Yeah, but Mr. Weasley knows some people in the Ministry that probably are in that upper crust, and I don't know. It just seems like being so ingrained in the wizarding world, such as the Weasleys, like they would at least come across a house elf at some point.
I mean, there's potential, but I just don't see them necessarily going to visit too often.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
yeah. And then a line that always gets me when Harry tells them Dobby was weirder.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not sure I entirely agree with that. Like, yeah, they acted differently, like I was talking about, because Dobby was a bit more of a rebel, and he would beat himself up, and you didn't see that from Winky.
Right.
But just Winky in the 2 minutes we get with her here, she's acting pretty weird herself, especially when she tries to explain how bad Dobby is acting ever since he's been free.
Right.
Like, that's not normal. That's pretty weird to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was like the whole idolization that Dobby had for Harry Potter. That like he saw as like being weird. Like, this house elf like cherishes and idolizes me. Like, this is super weird,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying though. Like Winky's unusual too. But Winky's unusual in a cute way. Like, Dobby was just straight up, like, he was kind of creepy at the beginning. Like, we didn't know what his intentions were.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it gets a little bit better once you know what he's up to.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. The moment finally came, Matt.
Yes.
It finally happened. They teased it at the beginning of the chapter, and then we got it. Magical creatures entered the stadium.
Yep, just in time for the 422nd Quidditch World Cup.
I was so excited, Matt. I was so excited for the magical creatures. Like, I was worried because they said, something about, like, the mascots and magical creatures and whatnot. I'm like, okay, this is going to be awesome. And then I got nervous, like, as they started, like, ramping up towards, like, the beginning of the match. I'm like, oh, wait. They're going to totally not even go to the creatures. Like, we're just going to have a Quidditch match. Oh, yep. You guys teased me. So mad. But then we got him.
No. JK wouldn't do that to you.
The Vila?
Yep.
I don't quite know how to wrap my head around them. But the best way I could, like, characterize them would be, like, the sirens from Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Just enchanting. Yeah, like, I don't know how else to describe them.
I've never looked into it too much, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's where JK took this from.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of similarities. Now, the sirens, from what I remember, lured sailors in with their singing.
Right.
Whereas the Vila kind of entrance you with their dancing.
Right. Same concept, but, like, very attractive.
But yes, very attractive female characters, but don't make them angry.
Right. Because then the beasts are unleashed, and
You will not like them when they're angry.
No, definitely not. So those were interesting.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I don't know if this is exactly how it works with the sirens either, but that it only affected males.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't seem to affect Hermione at all.
Right. Yeah, she was just like, oh, God, you guys are dumb. Why would you even fall for this, you know? Like,
but where we have, like, Ron and Harry trying to jump over the edge.
right.
Like, yeah, it's...
But then, later on, though, like, she was borderline to that point when Victor Crumb was getting close. And just like, tables have turned quite a bit, Hermione.
Yep.
Yeah. These kids growing up too fast, Matt. I don't know what to think about this, but so yeah, the Vila, very, very interesting creatures. Hive mind mentality kind of seems like they all kind of function as once. I don't know. Weird. I don't. Weird. Is all I can say.
Yeah.
But then the atomic bomb dropped, Matt. And as smart as I think I am becoming about the world of Harry Potter and the writing of J.K. and the creatures that seem totally plausible and reasonable to be in this world and to be real, every time I start thinking that, something comes along that just messes me up. Like, vampires, yeah, okay, I accept that. And, like, these Vila creatures, sure, whatever, totally makes sense. I don't know what their connections are to Bulgaria. I don't know why they would be the team mascot. I would love to Google that, but I'm sure I can't. But, like, there's just, like, all the, you know, like, these house elves, and, like, nothing I thought surprised me anymore. I feel like I got to this point where she could introduce a new creature, and I'd be like, okay, sure, that makes sense. And then she introduces leprechauns, and my head explodes because I'm just like, yeah, that totally makes sense, but how did I not even think about that being a possibility, and why am I so surprised by that?
Yes. Like,
as
the Irish already have their own magical creatures.
Yeah, and that's so ridiculous to think that I completely overlooked that, because she starts describing them as like these little tiny men, all forming like this one, you know, a big shamrock and moving around cohesively and everything, and I'm just like, what are garden gnomes doing? Like, this is a weird thing for garden gnomes to be doing for the Irish national Quidditch team. And then, of course, it's leprechauns, and I'm just like, holy cow. I wouldn't have ever thought of leprechauns being magical creatures that would exist in this world as totally normal things.
Yeah, but it once again, it totally makes sense.
100%.
Like, you think about it and how mysterious leprechauns have become in the Muggle world.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about people thinking they see one up in a tree, or thinking like they just catch glimpses of them,
right,
or they're trying to chase them, and that's exactly what the interaction between the Muggle and Wizard world is in Harry Potter. Like, people catch glimpses of it, and they don't want to believe it, or they see too much, and so their memory has to be modified. And who knows? I mean, especially with something like the leprechaun, who might be a little bit mischievous and might keep, showing up to the same person over and over just to give them that little inkling of an idea. It's like, no, we are real, or are we? We are real. Maybe not.
She caught me off guard with this.
Sure.
And I love it so much. Like,
that's good.
They just fit perfectly. Of course, the Irish national team mascot are leprechauns. So good. So
yes.
Good. And they're making rainbows, and like they're making gold coins fall down from the sky, and it's a great time. Great time to be alive.
Yes.
I need me some leprechauns. So then, okay. Cloud 9 I'm on right now reading this. I'm just like, okay, here we go. Here's the Quidditch chapter, right?
Yes.
The one specific chapter dedicated to a Quidditch match. This is probably going to be it. Now, we may get more Quidditch, but like this feels like the Quidditch chapter. Now, Bagman, he has this charm that he uses by sticking a wand down his throat, turning his throat into a loudspeaker system, essentially, for the entire stadium.
Sure.
Incredible. Right?
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Then the match starts, and it's back and forth, and it's just... I realized how bored I actually get listening or reading a description of a Quidditch match. I think that's why they focus so much on the Quidditch matches in the movies, because it's so much more visually appealing when you could see it happening as opposed to being described what's going on. Because I started trying to follow what was going on, and there were so many different passes and attacks, and it got so overwhelming so quickly. I was just like, I don't care about this Quidditch match. Like, I want to know who wins and what happens, but like the play-by-play stuff was just dragging me down.
Well, okay. A big part of this is very purposeful with JK. She wants to show you just how much faster they move at the pro level.
Yeah.
So at Harry's level, they the commentators have that much more time to describe what's going on because it's moving that much slower.
Sure.
For one.
Yeah.
And the second thing, like when he just starts out yelling names, it's like who has the ball, and like the first thing I thought of is years ago when I started trying to watch like hockey.
Oh God, yes.
Like that's all they have time to say. It's last names. It goes here, 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 here,
right.
And like if you don't know who those people are, what position they play, or anything, like it's not even going to help you to hear this guy doing. And they just have to wait until there's like a break in the action or a goal or something to elaborate on anything.
Right. It was just too much. I realized that without Lee Jordan calling a Quidditch match, my interest level drops dramatically because there was no interjection of funny quips, and there definitely wasn't time for it because they were moving so fast. But it was so just straightforward play by play that I was falling asleep.
Just imagine if the match had actually gone on for any length of time, longer than it did. Like, yeah, I could not imagine sitting there for 5 days listening to that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how that would even be possible, but so it was a match. It got ugly. It got out of hand. It got brutal. The mascots had a giant battle royale.
Yeah, and that got me too, because it said something like they rushed the field, and I'm like, they didn't stop the game.
No.
I'm like, this has got to be the only sport where you can rush the field and it doesn't interrupt the game.
Right. Well, in theory, they're flying above the field.
Yeah, exactly. The game is being played above the field. So, like, the field is almost unnecessary. Like, you should just have a giant pit so people don't rush the field.
It'd probably prevent people from crashing into the ground if they did that.
Ooh, yeah, I suppose you do need some sort.
You would have appreciated a hole.
Yeah. But that's what I love too, that they started giving us names of different moves and formations and such, and the Wronski defensive feint. I'm like, right. all right, there you go.
Where's the flying V? That's all I want to know.
Yes.
Quack quack. So the mascot battle was fun and enjoyable. The match was exciting. It was quick paced. There was injuries. There were all kinds of things happening. In the end, though, it ended, as Ludo said, who would have ever expected that ending?
Yes.
Well, I know two people that expected
that ending. Ludo should know this too.
Because that was a very specific ending that he was just gambling on. The twins knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Very curious. What I appreciated most about it was Harry coming to the defense of Victor Crumb and trying to explain why what happened.
Sure.
Like, I really appreciated that because, Ireland won. He's getting some flack for catching the snitch too early when they were behind. And, we actually saw this kind of play out with in that Mudbloods movie that we watched on Netflix.
Yeah.
How if you catch the snitch too early when you don't have enough points, like you end the match without being able to win, and it's a bad thing. And Harry's just like, he didn't do it accidentally. They were getting stomped. They were getting destroyed. And he was a bloody mess. He's out there watching his team just get annihilated in every which direction. Like, he just wanted to end it and be the one to hold up the snitch, even though he was on the losing effort. He wanted that last glory of, if we're going to lose, it's going to be on my terms. I just loved Harry kind of breaking that down to, like, Ron, who is, like, the self-admitted, like, super fan of Quidditch. Harry's like, no, there's a reason he did this. Come on, like, let's be rational about this. I just love that whole play out.
Yeah, it honestly, the best thing I can think of is it kind of reminds me of, like, in the NFL. It's fourth quarter, less than 2 minutes left. You're down by 35 points, and sometimes you'll still see, like, the first string offense out there, and that they're going to drive down, probably against the second string defense at that point, but still they're going to drive down, score, and whoever scores the touchdown is still going to celebrate that touchdown.
Yep.
I mean, there are a couple of guys out there who will understand, okay, yeah, this isn't really worth celebrating that much, but the vast majority of them, they will celebrate that touchdown any chance they get. Absolutely. They want that glory. They want that extra touchdown. They want to pad the stats.
Sure. It may not mean anything, but it means something to them.
That's essentially what Crumb is doing, I think. Yeah. It's like, okay, we're not going to win this. I'm at least going to do my job and catch a snitch.
I want it to be noted in the record books that I was the one who caught the snitch.
Yes.
Bloodied and beaten and battered, he still did it.
Yep.
He overcame his adversary, which was Lynch. He was the better of the two on that night, regardless of what the score showed. Because as the Seeker, they have one job. That's to catch the snitch, right?
Yep.
In his eyes, he did his job. He did it better than anybody else out there.
Yep.
It's not his fault that the rest of the team sucked big time. He was doing what he had to do. So, yeah, that was a lot of Quidditch.
It's true. One last detail about the Quidditch match I want to point out, because I know you like to see not only at the school level, but then what we saw in Mudbloods as well. Quidditch has always been a co-ed sport.
Yep.
We actually get a mention of that here at the World Cup even.
Yeah, I appreciated that.
Yeah. We get to mention that Mullet is actually a female.
Right.
So it stays co-ed the entire way.
Yeah.
As long as you can play the sport, there you go.
Yep. I definitely like that for sure. I think it's a good time to check in on our Muggle pool, Matt.
I would say so. So our Muggle pool this week, I simply want to know which creature you would rather have as your national mascot. We only got 2 choices this week. The Vila or Leprechauns.
You say only 2 choices, but there's only one right answer.
Okay.
Leprechauns, of course, Matt.
Well, I would agree with you, and so would the people.
Yeah. The Vila are too scary.
69% for Leprechauns and 31% for Vila. I will give a little shout out to Mel B, who wrote in and said that you should use the Vila to distract the other team. So she's put in a little bit of strategy into her decision, I guess. But
I mean, I get it, but then you have to deal with them. Like, what if you upset them? Like, even though they're on your team, like, I don't trust that they're totally able to be controlled and reined in, you know?
Yeah. I don't trust them.
Yeah, not at all. And leprechauns, come on now. They make it rain gold.
It's true.
Get out of here. Leprechauns, too cute. Those were some action-packed 2 chapters.
It was.
It was nice to go back to the 2-chapter format, I will say.
Well, we're not going to stay there for too long.
Yeah, I know. We're going back to 3.
I know. So here you go. For next week, we're reading chapters 9, 10, and 11.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we'll go back to 2 chapters for a while. But for next week, keep that in mind. 9, 10, and 11. 3 chapters.
I just don't know if I could have handled it anymore with this week.
Oh, well, to be perfectly honest, I really, really, really wanted to add in the next chapter to this reading.
Okay.
But it would have made it way too long.
Sure.
Like the next chapter in itself is quite lengthy, and so to add it on top of these, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But
I just needed to exhale after it, and
sure. It'll make for another really good episode next week.
Awesome. Can't wait. Well, before next week happens, Matt.
Yes.
I'm kind of curious if we have any emails for this week to talk about this reading.
Well, looks like we have a couple. And by a couple, I mean maybe 6, 5. It's hard to say. A couple people wrote in twice, so we'll see how we lump these together. So our first email this week is going to be from Kale.
Hi, Kale.
Says, Dear Josh and Matt, last week when I said that not all Slytherins are evil, Josh commented that was most likely because I'm a Slytherin. But in fact, I'm a fellow Hufflepuff.
A Slytherin apologist? Kale. Sorry. Kicking you out of Hufflepuff. we don't apologize for Slytherin around here.
He says, in fact, I have an ashwood wand, the same wood that are both Cedric's and Newt's wands.
Okay.
And I also have a unicorn tail hair, which is known for its difficulty to sway to the dark side.
Maybe I'll keep him around, Matt.
There you go. Since I told you my wand in Hogwarts house, I'm going to go ahead and tell you my Ilvermorny house and my Patronus. He's in the Thunderbird house.
Nice.
And the Patronus is a Nebulum cat. I'm not familiar with that cat.
A cat.
Yes, a cat.
Is he happy with this?
Kale,
are you happy
Sure.
with the Patronus being a cat? I'm curious.
We'll find out. Yeah. And to go on to prove my point that not all Slytherins are evil, I present Merlin. Merlin was in fact a Slytherin.
Get out of here.
And was one of the first Muggle rights activists. The Order of Merlin was, not surprisingly, founded by Merlin, and before it became an honorary title, it was a Muggle rights organization. So, Josh, are all Slytherins evil?
Backing me into a corner here. Matt, can you confirm that Merlin was a Slytherin?
I honestly, I did not look it up.
Okay, all right.
I can do a little quick research, I guess, and try to figure it out. It shouldn't take too long. Merlin was a wizard.
Yeah.
And was sorted into the Slytherin house.
Wow. Unbelievable. Huh.
Yep.
Maybe this is before Slytherin turned to the dark side, you know? Like, maybe the Slytherin house was redeemable at some point, and something along the way created this rift and this tear and tore them from the core of what Hogwarts was all about and
Well,
spun them into the dark side.
I wouldn't say so, because that's what happened in book 2. We found out about Salazar Slytherin, and he kind of had different ideals of what he wanted the school to be, and that's why he created the chamber in the first place.
You're not helping my case any.
I know.
So now I can't trust Merlin, is what you're saying.
Interesting fact, though, that Merlin went to Hogwarts. Never thought about that before.
Yeah, I never thought of him as being European. Maybe that's the American in me, but... Huh. Merlin is Slytherin. I'm uncomfortable with that. That makes me super uncomfortable about a lot of things I've said.
There you go.
Or
something to think about.
It makes me very, very sketched out about Merlin and what he's been up to this whole time. Maybe I'm losing a little bit of faith for Merlin and how good he is.
Sure. Well, Kale continues, Portkeys are in dire need of a new disguise. With environmental awareness going up, many people would probably just pick it up because it is litter. In place of a piece of litter, maybe the wizards can make Portkeys a piece of rope tied around a tree. Or something similar. I could see that, yeah.
It makes you a point, though, about people being more conscious about litter and whatnot, but...
In episode 35, he went on a tangent about why the Weasleys were late, and I always thought they were late because they needed to get the Dursleys' fireplace hooked up to the Floo network.
Huh. I guess I never thought about that.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Like I kind of figured, like, they came on a Sunday, I think. Like, in my mind, I guess it was something like Mr. Weasley would have had set up on Friday before he left work.
Yeah,
but
well...
maybe if they were trying to set it up on a Sunday and no one was in the office, maybe.
Huh.
That never thought about it that way.
Sure. I guess in my head they were just all like every chimney was already connected as it was.
No, they are definitely not, because they made specific mention that he had to get theirs connected for the afternoon.
Okay, I must have glanced over that.
Yeah.
That would make sense why being late.
Yeah, they definitely don't want all the fireplaces, just specific ones.
Fair enough.
Because I mean, you think about it this way. Because of the fact that it is possible to land in the wrong fireplace, as we saw when Harry Potter first used it. You know, he ended up in Nocturne Alley instead of Diagon Alley.
Yes.
So if you had all the Muggle fireplaces hooked up to the Floo network, just imagine how many wizards would come tumbling out of their fireplaces by accident.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that'd be a mess.
Yeah.
Last week, you also said that Mrs. Weasley was probably up there with Madame Pomfrey on the list of women you don't want to make mad. But I think that she is second, right behind the winner, Professor McGonagall.
Nope, she's a pushover. I've said it before and I say it again. McGonagall has a soft spot for Quidditch, and I feel like taking advantage of that means you can get away with anything with McGonagall. Quidditch and learning. Like, if a student shows that they are interested and driven enough, like Hermione, to go above and beyond the required learning at Hogwarts and wants to do extra stuff, like, she will cave and she will do whatever is necessary to help that student. And then when it comes to Quidditch, she's a pushover. She's an absolute pushover. Pomfrey, Miss Weasley, not so much. I don't think they have that vulnerability built into them like McGonagall does. McGonagall has like this rough exterior, but you can see her weaknesses a mile away.
Sure. All right. Now he has a few questions for us. First off, we'll get through the technical one. Do you have a P.O. box that the fans could send stuff to you? So they could send stuff to you. Josh, do you have one?
I do not have a P.O. box, but I have an address that I am totally comfortable with giving out. If you want to shoot me a DM or an email, Matt could respond to, because Matt and I live completely separate areas. So depending on who you want to send what to, Matt, do you have a P.O. box or?
I do.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to send stuff directly to Josh, get in contact with him.
Yep.
Or I guess Twitter is the easiest way to do that. If you need to, just shoot me an email, and I can connect you to him some other way as well.
Yeah. Matt, you have my address. You could give it out.
Okay.
I trust you to give it out to anybody that asks. So.
Okay. If you want to get his address from me, I can give you his address. If you want to send something to me, you can send it to P.O. Box 262. That's in Altoona, Altoona, Wisconsin, 54720. So yeah, anything you want to send us, go ahead.
Absolutely.
I will let you know that if you want to surprise me, I don't always remember to check it. I usually only check it like once every week or two. So if
Unless
you want to get
something's being delivered.
Exactly. If you want something get there right away, just let me know that you're sending it to. That'll come in handy.
Me, I check my mailbox every day because you know what? I got bills to pay, Matt.
It's true. I check my mailbox every day, just not my P.O. box. Let's see. There's a couple other questions here I'll answer later, but there was one more question. There, my last question for you is, if you could use one spell in the Muggle world, which one would you use?
I want to apparate.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
That would come in quite handy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the Patronus spell is pretty cool, but I feel like it would be like more just like showing off, you know? I don't know how much use it would have for me.
Unless there was a Dementor there. It's like,
Right,
what are you going to do?
right.
Yeah.
At that point, like, we got bigger problems as it is, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, yeah, apparating is probably the most useful.
Yeah. Especially if it gets all swirly and awesome looking like it does a Fantastic Beast.
And it looks cool, yeah. There you go.
Also, while we're talking about that movie, Matt, do you realize like how they're always out of breath after they apparate? Like, is it taxing on the body to do that? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. I mean, when we get into it more in these books, I think you might have like in Fantastic Beasts. A lot of times, I feel when they use it, like they were kind of running before and or after they do it.
Yeah, but just like immediately afterwards, they're just like trying to catch their breath.
Sure.
Which I didn't really notice the first time around, but the second time after I saw it, I'm just like, wow, they're getting worn out using that. Okay, interesting.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we can definitely talk about that more as we learn more about it. Kale finishes off with, not all Slytherins are evil. Not all Hufflepuffs are unathletic. Keep doing what you're doing and have a great day.
Team Hufflepuff. Fight the good fight.
All right. Got a double here from Rihanna.
Hi, Rihanna.
Wrote one earlier in the week. Since you guys talked about Fantastic Beasts last episode, I think it's fair to make sure that Josh has this info about Grindelwald that he has already read in book 1, since we finished book 1 before Fantastic Beasts was even out. So if he remembers it, I definitely applaud him.
Not a chance.
So this is back in chapter 6 of Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone.
That was during the marathon days, Matt.
It's true.
We were reading a lot in those first few chapters.
So Harry turned over his card, the Chocolate Frog card, and read, Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts, considered by many to be the greatest wizard of modern times. Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945.
Oh. Huh.
So you can kind of see where this is going.
Interesting.
And what we all know.
Huh.
But yeah, that was in book 1. So I'll give that to you.
Okay. So are we going to get Dumbledore in the Fantastic Beasts series? Oh.
Maybe.
Oh my goodness, that's going to be so great. Okay.
So she continues on to this week's reading. This week's reading has led me to some thinking. Wizards are honestly kind of selfish. In book 1, Harry asks why they keep their abilities hidden from muggles. And I think it was Hagrid who said, because muggles would want wizards to fix all their problems. I always took this as medical things. Like, imagine wizards can probably just do a shrinking spell to get rid of cancer instead of chemo. This week's reading made me realize it's way more than that. Wizards could rid the world of homelessness. Can you imagine dropping off some of their tents at a tent camp full of homeless people? They could fit so many people in just one tent while having bed that have beds and a kitchen. Mm-hmm. It could get them back on their feet for a job, or at the very least keep them safe and warm and alive during winter. Heck, I was thinking myself that I wish I had one of those tents. I think I'd rather live in a wizard's tent than pay mortgage or rent for the rest of my life.
It's like a tiny house.
Yeah, pretty much. Except it's not so tiny. That's the thing.
Sure, yeah.
It would take up the space of a tiny house,
right.
But it would, like I said, be like a mansion on the inside.
Right.
I know it's probably more so that in past ages wizards were hunted, and that's why they keep it hidden now. But I do wish we had more info on if they do help with these things secretly. Anyways, I still love Harry Potter and wizards, but thinking about how many world problems they could help with, well, I guess that just means I'm thinking like a selfish muggle. Next week's reading is where the action finally starts. Can't wait. Also, when you listen to the audiobook, Winky is made to be a super cute little house elf.
Oh, I bet she is. Oh, that's so good.
So, yeah. There you go. Wizards.
I bet they
selfish.
would help out more. It's just, I mean, muggles can't be aware of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They do what they can.
Yeah.
I don't think they're anti-muggle. Most of them.
Most of them, yes. Yeah. I mean, like we talked about last week, like the fact that they have to like talk and deliberate about like wizard muggle relations.
Right, right.
The fact that that is a thing, it obviously means that not everybody agrees with what everybody wants to do or should do.
Right.
So,
fair enough.
Next one from Harry Jackson.
Hey, Harry.
Says, hey, Josh and Matt, this week I need to apologize to one Mr. Harry James Potter for something that I wrote about last week, and that is how he never buys gifts for his friends. Harry dropped 30 galleons like it was nothing. If I recall correctly, we later learned that Fred and George's life savings total up to 37 galleons combined. But he is paid up on Christmas gifts for the next 10 years.
Right. Also, I will say that, like, Fred and George, like, with their entire life savings of being 37 galleons, like, yes, like, that's all they have, but at the same time, like, they've been investing all of their money into their business. So, like, their life savings may not be what it was before they started this entrepreneurship of theirs.
And to be perfectly honest, like, it's their life savings, but it's
also
more like
16.
The life savings of like a 16-year-old. So maybe their allowance, maybe they had one part-time job or something.
Right.
But it's not like they've been working full-time, salaried for the past 20 years, and this is all they have.
Right. Right.
Like you mentioned, it's not like Mr. Weasley made this bet and put everything he had into this bet. It's so I mean, yes, it's all the money they had, but it's the fact that they're still living at home and such. Yeah, like that gives them the freedom to do that.
Right, absolutely.
Like they don't have to worry about paying rent or
bills.
Mortgage. Yeah, bills. So yeah, I can see that, but let's talk about the Quidditch final for a minute. Now, I, like our good friend Jason inquires, and am a long-suffering Philadelphia sports fan.
I'm sorry, Harry.
If one of our teams made it to a championship game like this, well, first off, there would be no way our fans would be would peacefully camp alongside the opposing team's fans for 2 weeks without fights breaking out everywhere.
That's true.
But more importantly, If a Philadelphia athlete made a boneheaded decision like the one Victor Crumb made in this game, I can guarantee that player would be at high risk of personal injury before leaving the stadium. Yeah.
We're talking about fans that booed Santa Claus.
Yep. That's what I always go back to. That's what everybody knows. They booed Santa Claus. I mean, come on, Philadelphia. Those awesome minifigures of all the players that everyone was buying, they become projectiles aimed at Crumb's head from the stands. Crumb would never be able to show his face in Bulgaria or Philadelphia again. Why would he catch a snitch when his team was down by more than 150 points? I understand the point totals for both sides are taken into account during the play at Hogwarts for House and Quidditch Cup calculations, so catching the snitch if your team is down or not is still the right thing to do at Hogwarts. Maybe it's the same in World Cup play as well for purposes of determining seeding and ranking, but this is the finals. It's win or go home. There was absolutely no reason for Crumb to catch a snitch there, especially if Ireland Seeker had already taken 2 pretty rough crashes in the game. Ron says later he wanted to end the game his way, but who cares? Crumb ended it on losing side, and that rests on his shoulders. How must his teammates or coach feel about that? Talk about one awkward broom ride home. Maybe they use port key, so the trip won't be as bad. The only justification I can think of is that Crumb had a side take on the Twins' bet with Ludo Bagman.
Ooh, whoa.
Maybe he gets stock ownership in their growing business or something. Also, a Mrs. Fig reference. Yes.
Yeah, see? People are catching on to what I'm throwing down, Matt.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
People know what's up.
We got a PS. Shout out to our Atari Alex and Matt for showing Josh why Ravenclaw is the best house. My theory as to why they seem non-existent to this point: they are so intelligent, they would have solved all the problems in each book by the 3rd chapter, and there would be no more book series. Quirrell, the Ravenclaws figured him out and where to find the Sorcerer's Stone by November. The Chamber of Secrets, the Ravenclaws knew it was Ginny Weasley the whole time, but just didn't want to embarrass her. Lupin the Werewolf, please. Ravenclaw put that together way before Snape assigned his silly essay. Face it, Josh. Ravenclaw is the best house. We are just far too modest to ruin the mysteries for everyone else.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
Thank you, Harry. I don't know if we're ever going to get through to him, but I applaud the effort.
Matt, I'm creating house wars on this podcast.
Yes, you are.
And I love it, every second of it.
All right. 2 more emails, it looks like. And as I always do, I'm going to take these in order that I got them.
Okay.
So this next email is from the one, the only Atari Alex.
Whoa! Not going last this time, huh?
No.
Incredible.
His came in fairly early, actually, and I got a different one, actually, during the show.
Wow.
Someone's trying to take his role.
Alex, are you feeling okay, buddy?
So, dear Josh and Matt, and possibly Val, at last, we finally have some action in this book, and what action it is. But, of course, I need to talk about other stuff first. It says, I thoroughly enjoyed your spells class episode of Butterbeer Banter, but I wanted to add to it a little bit. These spells are from the video game adaptations of the books. I'm only including spells that you didn't already list, and only from the versions of the first 3 games that I have played. Well, he starts off with the Philosopher's Stone. I'm sorry, Alex, I'm pretty sure there is not a Philosopher's Stone video game adaptation.
Never even heard of Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Alex is making stuff up now at this point. First Ravenclaw, then Philosopher's Stone. What is even going on?
Anyway, he did go through a nice list. I could probably send this to you, Josh. You can through it. But yeah, there's more than I want to read right now. So,
okay.
If anybody else is interested, I can send it to you as well. But also, just a fun note. Oh no, that's part of that. Okay. Now on to Goblet of Fire. Man, these chapters are so much fun. J.K. Rowling does such a great job of capturing the feel and excitement of the campgrounds and the games, from the camaraderie to the rivalry to wasting your money on dumb souvenirs. I would really love to have a pair of omnioculars in real life, though. If Warner Brothers is going to insist on making more movies about the Wizarding World, which I am not in support of, but that's a separate issue. Interesting. They should really make a Quidditch movie. They could just take the story from the first Mighty Ducks movie, slap some brooms in it, and call it a day.
Yes.
That's our second Mighty Ducks reference this episode. All right. But yeah, that's all Alex has for this week.
Thank you, Alex. Quack, quack, quack.
Quack, quack, Mr. Ducksworth.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure a duck is a suitable mascot for House Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think so?
More than an eagle.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that. Anyway, on to our final email. This is from someone I was totally going to mention at the beginning of the episode. Totally forgot. I would like to introduce everybody to our new headmaster, or rather headmistress of the show, Mel B.
Mel B.
She has hit a very special tier over on our Patreon. Patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. And she has taken over the position of headmaster.
She's in charge.
She's in charge. Yeah. Had a nice conversation with her this week. So,
things are changing around here. We're going to get whipped into shape. My Ravenclaw jokes need to end, according to her. No, I'm kidding. Nothing's going to change. Nothing at all. Until she says so.
In any case, thank you, Mel, for all your support. And we'll get into this email here. It's quite a lengthy one, and unfortunately, since she sent it in while we were recording, I did not have time to pre-read it.
Ooh,
so
this is going to be good.
I apologize if I stumble over things, or hopefully she has things marked well what I can and can't read.
Come on, Mel B.
Well, probably not best to read this paragraph on the air. Okay. That's easy enough. Last week, it was brought up if Harry gets gifts for his friends. A lot of people caught on to this.
Yeah.
As we can see, Harry does get gifts for his friends in this very chapter where he buys them omnioculars. I suppose J.K. just doesn't think it's important enough to point out every time he does. With all that money, I would like to think that Harry is generous to his friends who stand by him through everything.
Yep. That's how I've always felt. Like, it wasn't big enough to ever be needed to talk about,
Yeah. It's just something he does.
Mm-hmm.
So. And like you said, if we talked about it every time, we'd have to discuss, Ron getting all squeamish about it and not wanting to accept. So.
And the other reason we hear about Harry's presence is because they always factor into, like, his year at Hogwarts and in some way, shape, or form.
When he gets the invisibility cloak, like, we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need to talk about the toothpick that Uncle Vernon sent? No, but it was in the pile.
Yeah.
Josh, last week you asked me which twin ranked higher over the other.
Yes.
I wish I could say it was hard to decide, but I can easily say it's Fred. As you rarely see them apart, it's hard for most people to see them as different. However, Fred is more forgiving than his brother, a trait I generally admire. There are other reasons, but I'm not good at vague, spoiler-free descriptions. I might write myself a note and point out my Fred moments when they come up. I will also note that Fred has a bigger personality. J.K. herself said he was more the ringleader of the duo, or trio if you count Lee Jordan. Having said that, the magic of Fred and George is the fact that they are twins. They are a team. They work together and quickly bounce their ideas off each other. They themselves bounce off each other, finishing one another's sentences. Honestly, if there was just Fred Weasley, Ron's prankster older brother, I probably wouldn't like him as much.
Makes sense. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do think that the fact that they're twins just works so well.
Yeah.
I am surprised that Josh did not pick up on Percy's whole top secret, bigger than the World Cup thing. Picks up on frog spawn, writes off one of the most obvious hints that Rowling lays out for us, especially since Matt pointed it out last episode, and Josh went, no idea, and moved on. But it is once again tossed at us this week that something is going on at Hogwarts. Ludo talks far too much for his own good, much like me in this email. Any theories, Josh?
I think I laid out my theory already.
Yeah, I think we can talk about that.
Yeah. But I think I also dismissed you bringing up Percy, bringing it up again, once again this episode. I dismissed it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I just don't care what Percy says. Like, nothing he says like has any weight to me at all.
Okay. Erase Percy. Got it.
Not erase him. Nothing seems of any consequence that he ever talks about.
Sure. Well, I mean, I did bring that up with the cauldron thicknesses, so it's...
Yeah.
Nobody cares, Percy.
Nope.
Jumping back just a little, I love the description of the campground. All the magical tents and the kids. Not to mention all the wizards dressed in questionable clothing. Archie in his nightgown is one of the best things I read in this chapter. I also enjoy Harry's realization that there must be other wizarding schools in the world. Sometimes Harry is really oblivious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, even though, I know that there is an American version of Hogwarts.
Yep.
In my head, those are the two schools in the world. They're just well, there's probably one in Egypt. There's probably one in Russia. There's probably one in Brazil. It makes sense for, each country to have their own wizarding school. But, up until this point, I'm just yeah, there's definitely Hogwarts and there's definitely an American version.
Yeah. I think JK has told us, obviously, everything about the wizarding world is up to JK.
Yeah.
She can write whatever she wants.
Sure.
But I believe she has mentioned that there are 11 wizarding schools.
Oh, okay.
If I remember right. So not necessarily every country, but there's more than Hogwarts.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see. We got to meet Percy's boss. He knows how to dress like a muggle. Maybe not camping attire, though. Percy just fanboys and loses himself. I love how Crouch can't even remember Percy's name, a fact that the Quins quickly capitalize on.
Yeah.
She labeled this as a Fred moment. I'd have to go back and check, but I'm assuming it's Fred that probably ended up calling him Weatherby. So, I love how they make magical life and governing sound so dry and boring. But I suppose that's what it's like for them. This is their day-to-day life. Magic carpets are just another part of their life. Mm-hmm. An illegal part, apparently.
Just in England.
Yeah. I also love how Ludo thinks everything is fine and dandy. He's not stressed at all. He's having the time of his life. In contrast, you see all the other Ministry wizards running around and stressing. I think we all know people like that. But by evening, they have just given up entirely. Magic everywhere, obliviate the muggles come morning, probably the easier solution.
I wish I could live that carefree. I really do.
Yeah, when you can just go erase everybody's memory in the morning.
Or just accept whatever happens to happen, and then you'll just move on from there. Instead of trying to worry and control about, every little detail before it happens. Just write it out.
Yeah, some people do.
Yeah.
At the Quidditch World Cup, we meet another house elf. So different from Dobby, but we do get an update on our wayward house elf. I find this really cute that we hear what Dobby has been up to, but you are correct, Josh. Winky throws poor Dobby under the bus.
Yeah.
I believe she read your notes.
Yeah, definitely.
Wanting wages? Ha! How ridiculous. But still, it's sad to see how brainwashed she is. While I find house elves a little annoying, I feel so sorry for the way they are treated and the way they are obviously taught to think. Josh, in your notes, you ask what I hope is a rhetorical question. Does Malfoy always have to be a jerk? If I recall correctly, which I most certainly do, you speculated that the villain of this book would be none other than Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know so far, do you stand by that theory? Would you like to alter it? Perhaps as simple as altering Lucius's motivations in the story if he is the villain? I believe you said he would be out to get Dumbledore due to Sirius and Buckbeak escaping. Mm-hmm. Or would you make a prediction on how he will go about his schemes? Me, myself, and I want to know, not to mention all the other awesome listeners.
That's tough, because I feel like Malfoy is always in contention to be the antagonist of the book at this point. Sure. I still feel like there's going to be fallout of Sirius and Buckbeak. Will it be this book? I don't know. Like that's something that could easily could be forgotten about for a book until the following year or whatever. But I feel like there's fallout to be had. Malfoy's scheming. He's doing something. Like, he may be taking his family to the Quidditch World Cup, but he also wasn't expecting to see the Weasleys there and Harry Potter. That caught him off guard, definitely. But he's up to something. He's definitely up to something. And I don't know if the introduction of his wife means anything, or if it's just kind of proving that Draco has a mom, you know? Like, we all assumed there was probably a motherly figure somewhere, but we've never been introduced to her. Yep. So, I don't know if she's going to play into it. I definitely think Lucius Malfoy is still up to no good, and you know, obviously Voldemort and Pettigrew, they're out in Albania or wherever they are, messing with the vampires and kidnapping, you know, workers of the Ministry and doing whatever they're doing up there. But Malfoy, he's directly involved with something, and maybe whatever this big thing is that's going to happen at Hogwarts, he's going to sabotage or take over or flex his muscle and his social status to alter it in some way. But we're going to get more Malfoy for sure, especially with Dobby being brought back into the mix, and Winky now, and this ongoing rivalry between him and Mr. Weasley. This is just the tip of the iceberg here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. She continues on. Of course, this chapter was one of the infamous Quidditch chapters, but definitely had interesting features compared to Hogwarts games. It is so different to be a spectator instead of sitting on Harry's shoulder where he's playing Seeker, or when he's playing Seeker. Mm-hmm. It is so different to see all the different things going on. Infomercials, other audience members, team mascots on the field. I think they totally should have lions prowling the pitch at Hogwarts, or a pit of snakes. Incentive not to fall off your broom. Are badgers dangerous? We don't have them in Australia.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to stop right there. Yeah.
Honey badgers don't care.
Living in the Badger state of Wisconsin.
That's right. Yes. You are, huh?
Yes. This is the Badger state. Yeah. We have the University of Wisconsin Badgers. Mm-hmm. They are very, very ferocious. You don't want to mess with the badger.
They are very angsty little creatures.
Yeah.
Melby, you could appreciate this. I think there is a very real comparison to Tasmanian Devil, which I'm sure you're familiar with down there. I don't know how closely similar their genome is, but like badgers definitely can be and are as aggressive as the Tasmanian Devils are. You don't mess with them. You stay away.
Yeah.
They will defend their territory at all costs.
So yeah, are badgers dangerous? Eagles would be a distraction, you know, if Ravenclaw existed.
Right. Yeah.
The Vila are such distracting mascots. Do you think the Bulgarians are immune?
I think they've probably just like trained to not look or pay attention to them.
Sure.
You know, I don't know if it's an immunity as much as it is they're just used to tuning them out. Like, you watch like basketball game, right, or a football game or something. Like, the players don't even realize the cheerleaders are on the field.
Yeah.
At all, except Terrell Owens, who will run over and take the pom poms and celebrate with them. You know, but like 9 times out of 10, unless one of them is like crashing into a cheerleader, you'd never see him like checking him out or paying any attention to him whatsoever. They're so focused on the game. So,
yep.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Because, I mean, we didn't see, like, the Irish players falling for them also. Like, you would think, like, they would have, like, the same effect on the Irish Quidditch players, too. And we didn't hear anything like that. Same thing. They're just so focused on the match that not even a care in the world.
Sure. She says, I did a quick search on Vila for you. I hope Matt reads this to satisfy your curiosity. It's not anything we specifically learned in the books, just a general overview. I have considered them to be based on sirens in the past, but have never had the motivation to look it up before now. So, first part here is from the Harry Potter wiki. It says the Vila are a race of semi-human, semi-magical humanoids, reminiscent of the sirens of Greek mythology.
Huh, okay.
Little is known about their biology. They appear to be young, beautiful humans. Their looks, and especially their dance, is magically seductive to almost all male beings, which causes them to perform strange actions in order to get nearer to them. In other mythology, the Vila are nymph-like creatures, specifically in Slavic mythology, who live in bodies of water and have power and ability over storms. They may be the ghosts of women who drown, especially those who are betrayed by their lovers. They often appear as beautiful women, but are known to morph into swans, snakes, horses, or wolves. Their mystical, seductive speaking and singing voices hypnotize those who hear them, and they are fierce warriors.
Wow, that's pretty deep.
So there you go. So some idea of where this may have been derived from.
Right.
So, just goes on to say, poor Lynch, the other seeker. Mm-hmm. You would think Ireland could find a better seeker. he crashes into the ground twice. Maybe he has done it many more times than that, and that's why he doesn't know when to pull up his broom. Crumb versus Harry. Who do you think will get the snitch first?
Crumb's really good. He's really good. But Harry has a little something special.
Yeah.
There's something about him. Also, I'm going to make the third Mighty Duck reference of this podcast. Lynch now reminds me of the kid in Mighty Ducks 2 that is skating so fast, but he doesn't know how to stop, and he just keeps crashing into things. Rodriguez, I believe his name is.
Mendoza. Luis Mendoza?
Yes, Luis Mendoza, who was also the same actor who played Rodriguez in The Sandlot.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. So fast.
That'll do it.
Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
I love the Bulgarian minister giving Fudge the runaround. I really enjoyed that little reveal. It was very funny. And of course, the twins win their bet. Did you ever doubt them? Maybe they should go spend it quick before Molly confiscates it. Come home with new brooms. We can't return them, Mum. I suppose we could sell them and keep all that money we get for them.
Oh, no, they're flipping that. They're turning it right around into an investment in something.
Sure. I'm surprised at how much I wrote this week, since I actually thought I would write a short one. I think that just about covers it for this week.
Thank you, Melby.
Thank you indeed. So, with that, I believe we are now out of emails. I have not gotten any new ones.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody that emailed, as always. Always a pleasure reading through those, answering questions, whatnot. I encourage more emails this next week. Whatever these chapters are going to hold, I'm sure you guys will want to talk about them.
I have a feeling they will.
Send in your regular emails. But, or should I say, however, we're going to do something else with emails this week.
Oh boy.
It's time to talk about the giveaway, Matt.
It's true. Glad you remember these things.
Oh, Matt, you know I do. This week we're going to do another giveaway. Thanks to the fine people over at Patreon for helping sponsor this. We are going to give away a Blu-ray copy of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, because I can't stop talking about it, and I can't stop thinking about it, and it releases in a couple weeks on Blu-ray. It releases tomorrow on digital platforms, if you are so inclined. But we're going to give away a Blu-ray version. And how are we going to do that, Matt?
That's what I'd like to know. You told me you came up with something, so
I did.
I'm right here with all the listeners.
36 episodes in, I feel like it's safe to say that everybody probably knows I have a little thing for magical creatures.
It's true.
I'm quite enamored with them. So I would like everybody to have fun with this one. Okay? Now, we are still going to do some sort of random drawing for this, because I don't want this to be based on talent or skill, or whatever, but I want everybody to be as creative as possible and have as much fun with it. You have a week to do so, but I want to see sketches or drawings or paintings or some sort of artwork that you are creating of a magical creature that we have been introduced to in the books so far. Whatever your favorite one is, however you envision it, whatever you want to use to express it, I want to see everybody's love for magical creatures come through in a flood of emails, and then we'll pick one from the stack and select a winner from there. So again, it's not going to be based on who draws the best or who paints the best. We'll still randomize it in some way, shape, or form, but your entry has to be in the form of some sort of artistic vision of one of the fantastic and magical creatures we've been introduced to in the books. Or I'll even go this far and say, if you want to throw in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the movie, you could do so also. But nothing spoilery, nothing I don't know about. Don't
so
ruin
basically,
it for me, folks.
yeah, something Josh has knowledge of.
Yes.
So like you said, that includes anything from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, or books 1, 2, 3, and I guess we do have a couple of creatures. If you want to draw a leprechaun or something from book 4, that'd be just fine. But
Nothing beyond the leprechauns.
yeah,
So
that's about as far as we get.
So there's the assignment. So draw something up, paint it, sketch it, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. Be creative with it, whatever medium you choose to do so. And then submit it via email to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. And next week we will select a winner from that. And then, with your permission, I'm going to put this out there, by sending them in, you are, by entering this contest, you are also going to allow us to show these on social media. Now, if you don't want your name attached to them when we share them, note so in the email. But I do want this to kind of showcase the community and like this general overall love for magical creatures.
I like it.
Sound fun?
It does. It
Okay.
does. Yeah.
So
I like I said, I know we have some artistic people out there
Right.
that we have been sharing their art already.
yes.
But yeah, I like getting more people involved. And like you said, your artistic ability is not going to come into the decision.
Yeah.
It will still be 100% random. I hope you do more than this, but if all you do is send in a couple of stick figure drawings of some creature with a label as to what it is, that's fine.
Sure.
We'll count that as an entry. That's fine.
Just like we
But-
don't you read the reviews and pick the best reviews when we
Yeah.
pick an iTunes winner, same thing. I don't want anybody to be intimidated by their art ability or lack thereof. Have fun with it. Just express yourself. Express your love for the magical creatures in this wonderful universe. And I just want to be just overblown with like this flood of magical creatures and artwork depicting them.
Sounds good.
So you have until next week, Monday, whatever next Monday is, the 13th? 13th.
Yeah, 13th.
Yeah, so take a picture, you scan them in, whatever you need to do to be able to attach it to a picture in an email to Matt, and we will select a winner from there. So have fun, guys. Let's see what you got. Bonus points for flubberworms. Just saying. Now everybody's going to just pick flubberworms, so.
Yeah.
Probably the easiest to draw. Don't go flobberworms. Be creative. Although I won't be mad at you if you do. So that's the giveaway we're going to do, Matt.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. So next week we will be covering chapters 9, 10, and 11.
Correct.
Okay. 9, 10, and 11. You also have an email assignment. Also be sure to send in your normal emails if you want to chat with us or ask us questions. Be a part of the house wars that we are starting to initiate, and it's gonna be fun. That's about a show, Matt. That's about all we could do for one night, my friend.
It's true.
You could find me personally on Twitter at The Noise with a Y. If you want to hit me up for my address, you could do so there. You could also find me and Matt and the show collectively on Twitter at Tales from GH. That, of course, is when the Muggle poll gets posted every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know what time zone that is for everybody else, but you could do the math. Again, thank you to all the wonderful people that are supporting us on Patreon, allowing us to do all these amazing giveaways. If you'd like to help out with that, check out what it's all about. Go over to patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can people say hello to you at?
Well, you can always find me personally on Twitter at As a Matter of Matt. Otherwise, as we've mentioned a couple times already, send me an email, something longer, something you want to keep away from Josh. If you want to enter our giveaways, even though we're not doing an iTunes review giveaway this week, you can still send those in. Just take a screenshot of your review on iTunes, send it over to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. We'll make sure you're entered in any future giveaways. Otherwise, the giveaway this week, as Josh mentioned, with the artwork, send those my way as well. We'll make sure those are all sorted and taken care of.
Nothing Matt likes doing more than sorting an email box. Let me just tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you, ever since we started, actually towards the end of book 3, I started keeping a much better. I started organizing
your folders and such.
Yes, this email account a little more. And so, like, the only thing I have in my in the inbox then are the emails I got this week.
Right.
Because otherwise I have way too much going on here.
And that's because you guys are all awesome. So keep it.
Yes, love you guys.
Yes. And then everything that we do is posted. You could listen to the show and everything else at the website talesfromgodricshollow.com. And that's about it. So until next week, Muggle out.
Mischief managed.